Tuesday 1073 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If I explain so I can share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Simon Tzadik Dalet, Yerdeh, Simon Tzadik Dalet, Sivchav Dalet, the Sivchav test. Chav Dalet. Okos Abatur, Avagav the Shari Sim Shabatur, even though other prohibitions are Isar Below Beheter. If you have a prohibited substance which is absorbed in a permitted substance, such as if you have onions which are absorbed with Isser. Bishlam, you cook them because they're in a pot of permitted food. So shishim keneged kol b'tzalim need 60 corresponding to the entire onion. Below sagi b'shishim neged not enough to have 60 corresponding to whatever got absorbed. But it's not true. She'im b'tzalim yirakos. If onions or vegetables are absorbed with meat, you cook them in a milky pot. If you know how much meat is absorbed into the meat or into the onions or into the vegetables, and so the only requires 60 corresponding to the meat. Not corresponding to all of the onions and the vegetables. End quote from the Torah. It seems that the reason is because by prohibited substances we say chanan. And all the onions therefore, if they're usher, or the entire onions therefore, as if it's usher. It needs 60 corresponding to the entire onion. But you can't say this. The Torah doesn't hold chanan b'shar yisurim. It only holds by basar v'cholok. There are those who say this case, even those who don't hold chanan by other prohibitions, here's different. So when you talk about when you cut the onions very, very thinly, with a prohibited knife, each piece requires 60 corresponding to the entire blade. So when you put all of the thin slices into the pot, when a kama needs several times that. Several times the entire volume of the blade. Well, the surface areas. It's like when you dunk the spoon into the pot, which we talked about previously. You require vade shishim neged, that there should be definitely 60 corresponding to all the onions. It doesn't seem so clear. Besides this, the Torah doesn't speak about cutting the small pieces. You see, also perhaps it's just a chumrah, ba'ama, generic chumrah, which is not intrinsic. Because a din isser devolves in the onion, rockets, and all the vegetables. That's why I need 60 corresponding to all of them. I'm not sure that makes it any better. But he goes on in the brackets and says, even those don't hold chanan by other prohibitions become efshar soch aser. Nevertheless, you would consider it as if it's completely absorbed and cannot be emitted in a way which makes a mutter again. So asi sharpi yoser. So then you could say onions, even though you don't say chanan. Nevertheless, efshar soch aser means that it's tantamount to chanan, which of course begs the question. So if efshar soch aser, why would we not say chanan b'shar yisurim? I'm not sure exactly we deal with that. If you have onions or vegetables which absorb with meat, and you cook them in a milky pot, you know how much is absorbed by the onions and the vegetables. You only need 60 corresponding to that meat. You can't say chanan, it's a terrible, it's all heter at that time. That's why you only take account whatever it absorbed. The kosh came is similar to by a pot of milk. When you cook water within the 24 hours cooking the milk, and then you cook meat in it. You don't require 60 corresponding to all the water. They're only corresponding to the amount of milk that the pot absorbed at Kaloshono. End quote. Beis Yosef, language of Aknega Basar is what you call is language of Beis Yosef. Misham Ech, and then from Aaron, who Lashon Rabbeinu Matzurama. Yesh Kosar, the such Kosar Rabbeinu Yosef Shablumi Basar. Beis Yosef said absorb with meat. Lavnu Tishar Sumud. It's not to differentiate between this and other prohibitions. The ilus v'leid lo min chanam b'shar yisurim. Don't say chanam b'other yisurim either. Ela kamerosa malute b'tzolim. Is coming to preclude to distinguishing this and onions. Shibulim kula michalav shibalu, which would absorb, which are completely suffused with milk that they absorb. Shabulim kula michalav, they completely absorb with. Permeated with milk, and then they afterwards they absorb meat. Low side of so then you don't need 60 corresponding to. It's not enough to have 60 corresponding to the meat. Kamet does the shach evidently. Kamet does. It's very difficult to say that's what the Beis Yosef means. Yesh cause other Abus Kamash, those who say that Chedesh Tafil Basar B'Chalav, the Mina Chanan, even by Basar B'Chalav we do say Chanan. Mikom Kav Yeshavim the Gam Basar B'Chalav Lo Min Chanan. So in Basar B'Chalav we also don't say Chanan. Arukh HaShulchan Kulu Heter when it was all mutter at the time. There's more astonishing. The Pshita came and also Easter Basel Levado. It's true, of course, since there's no prohibition in the meat itself. Mashiach was Elomar Chanan. Why would you Chanan on mutter meat or mutter milk by itself? Ain't tell me that it's an astonishing thing to suggest. That's Bicholish. I think his intent is clear. Even though from the Beis Yosef itself, it sounds like in the Beis Yosef, it sounds like we're talking about Hanan here. Nevertheless, since he saw a Tur copy this halacha. After even though he holds it, don't say Hanan by other prohibitions, Shmami of this we derive the lav mitam zeh. It's not that's not the issue here. Elami Rishum Klishul Satam, but rather because of of the weakening of the taste. Because of Din Zeh, Rak B'Blui Meheter. I wrote this when it's absorbed with Heter. V'lo B'Blui Me'Isser, now it's absorbed from Isser, that you can assume that there is a weakened taste. Rabbeinu Mashkas L'Shayach L'Maracham Chulei Lo Yitzrich B'Atzmo L'Var Tam Acher. The Ramah doesn't go on to a different reason. Because he says in Tzaragab, we do say we do say Chanam by other prohibitions. You can't have Tam Mishum Pashut. Sorry, Tam Pashut. The reason is simple. Because Mikdera shall Cholav Shabbat Mayim B'Tochleis Bishul B'Basar Tochleis shall Bishul HaCholav. They told Sharak Nega Cholav Shabbat Kdera. You have to do 60 corresponding to milk which is absorbed from into the pot. But Zel Koshke Medina Kodem. It's a Kavachon from the previous halacha. Vishum Khan Ein Bolua Micholav Atzmo. There's no you don't have milk itself absorbed. All this is just water. The Tam Hacholav habulak v'anikla shnei mayim, and the original milk taste is diminished by the water. It also goes with that what he said. The Geshem shebedin zeh bebishul iser. It's like in this halacha, but you cook iser in bishul mayim. Tochmei says you cup water in the same pot with inch fowls. Lo shachamar she's in niklash. You can't say the prohibition is weakened. I feel in mind is leisli chanan. Shari so meaning those don't hold chanan by other prohibitions. Moshe Nasiv Chav Gimel. The lachain had tikatur. So halach therefore two copies this halacha. So in the previous halacha, because also Rabbeinu Yosef seal they can move midvar. So also Beis Yosef holds that way as well. Chazer, but that and you know the possessions by B'Tzolim Abulim Basar. That if you have onions just infused with meat, Bishlam. Big day when you cook the chlevas, you cook the milk pot. The tzor shishim neged rabasar, you need 60 corresponding to the meat which they absorb. Im yesh shishim gam if there's 60 gam tzolim mutar. The onions themselves are mutar. Absolutely lo nimchu v'nisachu. These should be probably smachu. Even though they haven't been dissolved and crushed, ain't tzorich l'ashtir tzolim. You don't have to trust the onions. Obviously, because onions with a prohibited knife, I feel yeshishim there's 60 tzorich la frish you have to remove the onions from the cooked dish. I see them by straining them over an or another way. The kaimon efshar soak to also they remain also no matter what. We can't squeeze out the isser. Some argue, but the gam b'blui mibasa even if it's absorbed with meat. Tzorich levarab tzolim. You have to check. Remove the onions. Lashlichim and toss them. Nidano mim shalchav nichos abtzolim lo naaseh nevela. Okay, we say the milk that goes into the onions doesn't become nevela. They should call k'dera mitzarek because all of the k'dera patron is up to cancel that. Because nevertheless, tam abasar sheyesh b'abtzolim, the taste of meat which is in the onions, vadesh naaseh nevela. That here comes the nevela. Ayah cholav. The tam hamuvla. because that which is absorbed in the onions, lo shatzir b'shagdera. You can't join the in the pot in negating that. I'm not sure I read that properly. Let's do it again. The 2 lines back. It's true that it doesn't become on the bail because all the pot joins together. That's the become come down a bus issue, but it's only nevertheless the taste of meat, which is still in the onions. It only comes there by the milk. The time I move law, the taste is absorbed. Can't join together the rest of the pot. The came that below between us in the veil, so that since I was absorbed in the onions comes the veil, and mutarim, how could they be mutter? My fleet closed down the boss. They can't say that the pot causes all the taste of the meat to leach out of the onions. Can't hold that. Say that. So we can say we can't leach the taste out. Although we remove all the yisr. You can never remove the taste entirely. It's a place in that seems to be the primary halacha. In brackets, he says, all the halachas of money is talking here when they're absorbed with meat, bakulo in their entirety. So they cook the meat, or they cut very finely. But only cut in one place, and his bar seem inside above. Until you only required 60 corresponding to the place which you have to remove. If you have hot meat, with a cold milk knife, with a milk knife, the entire cut is also. There's in 60 corresponding to the place of the blade, where you cut the meat. It's not like not a Jew, knife of non Jews, which used to shech, the sagi of cleaver is left to just peel. The after Kaimalon, the base of Shkita Rosech, even though the neck when it's slaughtered is considered to be boiling, there are some rotachas. The rest of the animal is not boiling. Like Makam base of Shkita, the only place that he shechted. Avachaticha Shakula Rotachas, but a piece which is completely boiling, like a piece of the pot. When you cut it with a milky knife, it releases in all of it. They have need 60 corresponding to the place of the knife. Where you cut. Even though is bar will become clear. The whole below rotive ain't certain to if there's no gravy. You don't need more than taking off the place where it fell. Because taste is not spread further. Here where you're cutting with pressure. Yes, I can say taste expands throughout the piece. The shach. Even when it comes to double carb, which is also mavliya. It's not mavliya more than a makam tetila, which is a finger breath. Well, nevertheless, in terms of diffusing the isser throughout the piece, something which is boiling spreads it more than something which is sharp. Still, it's hard to say that the pressure of the knife is going to cause the isser to diffuse throughout the piece. And it says explicitly in the Rashi, you need the sakina, the sakina, in terms of the pressure of the knife. So it's something which is sharp. It's the same thing like absolutely boiling. Yet there, we're not only machmir kenetila. The reason is because a generic milking knife has butter, the oily butter oil, or oily butter, some fattiness from the butter. Also, the meat is fatty. If it's fatty, all bets are off. It has us up to 60. Of course, when the knife was used in a kli rishon, boiling milk, maize. You only need corresponding to the place of the blade, which will cut below the negative close socket corresponding to the entire knife after kind of matchos, even though we hold by metal. Part of it comes out, the entire thing is hot. Nevertheless, it doesn't diffuse that which is absorbed in its entirety, which I received of, like we previously. That's for sure how far you cut up the knife. But by default, the entire knife was used in cutting. A Batarek Shishim Nega calls Sagan 60 cars by the entire knife, Levada Kata besides the handle. I feel even he says it's clear to me, I only use a certain segment of the knife. I didn't cover the entire knife. They ain't showing low. Ignore him. So she's not real weird. They ask you to think us about it. He does. It's not, and he doesn't even realize it. We shouldn't turn on the social here. But definitely we say where you don't know how far he cut. I mean, it says, he must use the entire like the knife. I am Mashkasav Basif base.